Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our latest installment for the Parent Family Services webinar series. My name is Meredith Call, and I am the Director for the Office of Parent and Family Services. I want to apologize. I think that we just had some technical problems, so you may not have heard the music from that particular PowerPoint presentation. So if you didn't, don't worry, it's probably not your computer, it is more mine. So I just apologize in advance for that. But I'm just so grateful and excited that you're able to join us today for our presentation about counseling services, because we've got some great information we want to make sure that we are sharing with you today. A few things just to let everybody know, we are monitoring this on a couple of different presentation options. So for our family members that are watching us through Zoom, we are going to make sure that this is a interactive and engaging presentation. So please feel free to put your questions into the Q&A box that you'll find at the bottom of the screen. If you are joining us, though, through our Facebook live stream, we are monitoring that as well. So please feel free, if you have questions, to just put your questions into the comments section, and we will happily be able to monitor and answer any questions that you have through the comment section of our Facebook live side. So I just want to say thank you again, and then also remind everybody that as you are typing in your questions, please remember that this is currently live, so we want to make sure that any questions that are put out there are going to maintain our students' privacy rights and everything along those lines. So please be careful to not put any type of identifying information out there regarding your student, meaning name, email address, anything along those lines, just because we want to make sure that we maintain that security and privacy for all of our students. So for today's presentation, I've invited our Director for Counseling Services to come and talk about the opportunities and programs that are available to all of our UAB students, whether it's individualized programming or more broad-scale programming that we do for the entire UAB community. That our Counseling Services Office does a tremendous amount of things for our students, both prior to the current status of COVID, and then they continue to do so. So I've invited our director, Dr. Angela Stowe, to share information with you all. So I'm going to turn the presentation over to Dr. Stowe.
Thank you, Meredith, and welcome everyone. It's delightful to be with you this afternoon, and I'm happy to share some information about our services. I'm going to pull up a PowerPoint that I have, and so I'll share my screen so that I can walk through some of the services that we have and share with you some of the things that we have available to provide mental health support for students. The first thing that I do want to share is that mental health and well-being is a priority at UAB, and this UAB Cares logo is actually just being launched and rolled out this week as a result of 2 years of work on an initiative that is under our UAB Suicide Prevention Initiative. And what we want to make sure is that no matter who you are as part of the UAB community, that you know that UAB cares for you and your family, and that you are not alone, and that we want you to reach out. And we, as an institution and as a whole enterprise, have services and support available that we want to make sure that people can connect to, no matter who you are or where you are. There is a website launch that just happened this week, and this again is for everybody under the UAB Cares website, and there is information specifically for students who may need to access help, or they want to learn how to help somebody else. So I've just clipped a couple of places from the website to give you a sense of what that might look like, and encourage you and welcome you to go check that out and drive through a little bit of the resources that we have. Really, the main idea is that this would be a go-to place for anybody to be able to get information quickly and easily in order to get the help that they need, either for themselves or for somebody that they're concerned about. So you as a parent may also want to drive to this website and find out if you have a student that you're concerned about or a family member that you're concerned about. You can easily find out the resources that are available for them. Or if you know somebody that works at UAB, this is also for employees. Student Counseling Services is a part of the Division of Student Affairs, and we're happy to partner with Parent and Family Services to make sure that we're able to share about the services that we offer. Ever since we went to the limited business plan and everybody started working remotely and attending classes online, we have been able to convert all of our services to online, virtual, and distance counseling formats. And so we do currently offer all of our range of services. Students are able to schedule and participate in distance counseling sessions via Zoom or by phone. We are maintaining our usual business operating hours Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and students can web book that appointment. So if somebody is interested in scheduling a first-time appointment with a counselor, they can go online to our website and schedule that through their patient portal. I will say for first-year incoming students that will be available to start taking those appointments once they get ready to start classes, that they're eligible to start when classes start. If they're a returning student, then they can go ahead and schedule that appointment with us. We do have some resources for some important 24/7 report. We have a contract with the National Crisis Text Line that anyone in need any point in time can text UAB to the 741-741 number and be able to have access to text a crisis counselor. We also partner and want to refer folks to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, which is available 24/7 as well. And then since COVID, there has been an emotional support helpline that is for any issues or concerns related to anxiety or stress around COVID. There's a 1-866-342-6892 number available, and that's for anybody, not just students, but all three of these resources are actually available for anybody who may need to talk to someone at any point in time during the day or the night. We have some really great resources that people can access on their own virtually that we're excited to share, and these can be all found on our website. We have a self-help app and a self-help platform that's called TAO. It stands for Therapy Assistance Online, but it's a platform that allows students to self-direct through a number of different modules that they can learn things like mindfulness, or how to manage depression or anxiety, or have some resiliency skills. And so that is free and available to any student. They can just go to our website and enroll with their UAB email and password. And then we're also excited to share that we've recently acquired university-wide a platform that's called Cognito. And this is a wonderful online simulation-based training that people can go on and learn how to help someone else, especially right now during this time of COVID and thinking about returning back to work or campus. We know that anxiety is high, or maybe people are feeling a little more lonely than usual, or just have a lot more to deal with than they had before. Decisions are harder to make. If you're worried about somebody and you're not quite sure how to have that conversation, Cognito walks you through scenarios, actually giving you the opportunity to try out certain kind of conversations and responses to learn how to best intervene if you are worried about someone. And then there are UAB specific resources that you'll be directed to know how to help somebody when a certain concern arises. So again, these are on our website. These are free and available. Cognito is free and available to anybody at UAB. There are two platforms. One is for students about how to help another student, and then one is for faculty and staff about how to help students as well, or colleagues. One of the ways that we're staying connected with students during COVID while we're virtual in a virtual environment is our Resiliency Hub, which has been newly launched since we've been working remotely. This is a part of our website where students can connect to some different resources, such as the Mental Health Ambassadors. The Mental Health Ambassadors is a really active group of mental health champions on our campus. It's a group of students that create daily virtual events that people can tune into, things like mindfulness, or we have presentations from the artists in residence from the hospital, and all kinds of different workshops, and they offer those pretty much daily. They also have social media posts that provide tips and strategies for self-care and coping, and just some hope and encouragement during COVID-19. This is all created by students for students. You can follow them on social media, and they also have all of their workshops recorded on YouTube. And a link and more information about the Mental Health Ambassador programs is on our website as well in the Resiliency Hub. We've also started a new podcast that's called Let's Talk About It with Student Counseling and Friends, and this is facilitated by Herbert Wilkerson, one of our counselors, and our episodes drop every Tuesday afternoon at 2:30. You can get access to those episodes by following us on social media, our Instagram and Facebook accounts. You can also go to our website and access those as well. We have a playlist on the Student Affairs YouTube channel, and all of those podcast recordings are available. And then we do have an active social media presence, especially now that this is an important way for us to connect to our students. So please follow us or have your student follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and then our YouTube page. And here's where we offer just, again, some encouragement, some tips. We have some short videos sometimes, some ways to stay healthy and take care of your mental health during what right now is the pandemic, but even after, we'll be continuing to offer those resources through our Resiliency Hub. I always want to make sure that when I have an opportunity to share that I say a little bit about self-care. I think right now it's really important that we're all very vigilant about self-care. Self-care is not something that just happens after 5 and on the weekends anymore, but we have to make sure we're doing it all day, every day, so that we can sustain COVID-19 and this strange and unusual and unprecedented time over the next few months, because we don't know how long that things will continue to be so different. So some really important things to consider is having a routine, and make sure that you are including breaks and that you have set boundaries, and encouraging these of your student as well, especially if there's going to be a transition, moving, or a first-year student starting school and college, that having a routine can be really, really important. It's also important to be kind to yourself and others. We need kindness now more than ever, and compassion. And sometimes we're the hardest critics on ourselves. And so it's important to practice that self-compassion and make sure that you are kind and forgiving of yourself and others, and recognize we're all doing the very best that we can in these extenuating circumstances. Paying attention to sleep, nutrition, and movement is also important to stay healthy, and it's important for your mind as well as your body, but also remembering to be gentle on yourself, that maybe you didn't get exercise every day that you wanted to, or maybe you're not eating today the healthiest that you think that you should. And sometimes it's easy to beat up on ourselves, but just to be gentle on yourself and do it again tomorrow, and try again tomorrow, because again, you are doing the best that you can, and there's a lot going on right now out of our control. And so doing what you can, the best that you can, and being kind to yourself. And then do something outside of your usual kind of routine that's creative, something that you're learning new, where you're serving or you're connecting, something to keep your brain and your heart and your soul active and fresh and connected with the outside world, because it can be very isolating if you're working and learning and operating from home, or you're working in an environment where even there you're isolated. So making sure you're staying connected to those creative parts of yourself and staying connected with others is important for your own mental health and well-being, and for that of your students. So that's the main things that I wanted to share. I want to pause now, and I'll go back to this UAB Cares page, because I think that's really an important message for us to share. And I want to be available for any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, discussion that folks may have.
Great. Thank you, Angela, so very much. And as a reminder for our family members that are watching us through Zoom, if you have questions, all you have to do is type your questions into the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. But if you're also, I know we've got quite a few people that were watching us on Facebook Live, so if you've got questions there, you can also type your questions into the comments section there. So we did have a question that's coming in from Facebook about whether or not that there is a fee for students for counseling appointments.
That's a great question. So counseling is free and available for any enrolled student. Undergraduate, graduate, and professional students are able to access counseling. And I also want to underscore that it is confidential as well, meaning that no one will be able to know that someone has been participating in counseling without that particular student releasing or providing that information. We have our own electronic health record and keep those records confidential, and that's often a question we also get from students as well as families.
Great. Angela, as family members, especially since these are mostly going to be families right now that I think that are watching, they're coming in for, many of them I believe are going to be first-time family members to a UAB student, and so especially coming into where we are right now, is there something that our students or our family members can be doing this summer in order to ensure, in regards to your world, in order to ensure that they're going to be able to come in and start the fall semester off on a strong foot? Mm-hmm. Resource-wise, or things that they can be taking advantage of right now?
I think that's a great question. And at a time that it feels like a whole lot is not in our control, thinking about those things that you can do can be really helpful. And so I think really establishing some of those self-care habits can be essential. Thinking about how you're going to get in things like your sleep and movement and eating, and kind of how do you plan to do that maybe once you get to a different location. If you're going to be living away from home, what are some ideas of how you can maintain some of those routines once you get on campus? I think some other things is just being realistic that this is different, and accepting that this is probably not how you always envisioned college would start if you're a first year, and being gentle on yourself and others about that, and recognizing that while it is different, you also really have some unique opportunities as well. And that I think kind of mindset can be really important, and finding ways to make meaning and reframing what is probably some disappointment and grief as well, and naming that. I think it's okay to acknowledge that you're disappointed. It's okay to acknowledge that you may be grieving things. But there's also an opportunity to look at, how do I make meaning, and how can I make this experience the best that it can, thinking about how will I get involved and how can I connect, because UAB really is got some great ways that that students will still be able to connect and be involved and make a difference on campus and pursue their goals in very innovative and unique ways. So I think, preparing yourself for how to best take care of yourself, and also just kind of being realistic and accepting of what you may be going through, and talk to people, talk to your family, talk to your friends about what you're thinking and feeling, and don't hesitate to reach out for that support from your network.
That's an excellent point, and I think to thank you for making that connection and awareness. One of the things I was also thinking about while you were chatting is, obviously we're speaking at this point with a lot of family members of our UAB students. So I think the thing that I'm kind of wondering is, as family members, they may see things that are, once a fall semester start, maybe they see their student responding in a unique or a new way, or they may have just the semester isn't quite going the way that they thought that for themselves or their students, and they just see some concerns where they want to make sure that they're encouraging their student to take advantage of the services that you all offer. But sometimes that's a hard conversation to bring up, or sometimes that's a hard thing to get a student to really embrace this idea. So are there any tips or suggestions that you have to family members on, as far as like, if they see something, about how we can make sure that we're trying to get those connections as best as possible being made between your area and our UAB students?
I think that's a really important question. And I think as a parent, and I'm a parent too, I'm not a parent of a college student yet, but as a parent, thinking about how to best support your student. And on one hand, there's always a desire to be encouraging and positive, and, it's going to be okay, and you're going to get through this. And that can be very helpful. It can also be discouraging if we're not also naming that, what, you may be going through a difficult time. And so being able to name what you're seeing is one of the first things that you can do, is say, hey, I've noticed that you don't seem to be connecting with your friends as much as you used to, or when you talk and call home, you seem like you're down more than you usually are, or you're not talking about the things that interest you like you usually do. And because of that, I'm concerned about you. Are you okay? And if you're not okay, that's okay. And so providing space, and a safe space for students to be able to say if they're okay or not. And quite honestly, most people are okay and not okay at the same time. That there are parts of things that may be going on that are really going fine. Classes may be fine. They may really like being able to live in a new place on their own. But then maybe some of their relationships are strained, or maybe they are feeling a little more isolated. And so we can have a situation where some things are okay and some things are not. And so being able to have a safe space to name that, and that it's okay to feel feel that way, and then encouraging them. Sometimes just talking to a family member or a friend is what we need to be able to feel better, to get the support that we need. But sometimes we need more than that. And when it starts affecting your sleep or your eating or your ability to attend class or focus or concentrate, then it may be time to talk to somebody who's a professional. And at that point in time, then we're available. They can set up that appointment. And sometimes if they're like, well, I don't need counseling, or I don't really know what that's about, the first appointment is a consultation. So they can just come and learn what it's about. And if they decide that it's for them, then we're happy to schedule another appointment. Or if it's not, that's okay too. So it's something that maybe you could encourage them to try, and that they always have the option of deciding for themselves what they need. And then we can help also connect them with resources. If they need something in addition to counseling or something other than counseling or a different resource, then we can also help connect them with that. But I think providing a safe space for them to be able to talk about how they're really doing without feeling judgment or like they're letting you down. I think we've learned that our students are very protective of family members, and they don't want to worry them, and they don't want them to feel like they're letting them down. And so being able to name that and just kind of say, hey, it's hard. It's great and exciting to start college. It's one of those things that, we really look forward to as a major, milestone and life event. And there's also hard parts about it too. And it's okay to talk about all of that.
That's great. And you mentioned in that your answer there about talk about sometimes that you end up doing some referrals to other services that are beyond just counseling services. And a family member put in a question about how nutrition can be a key aspect for health concerns and managing and maintaining in a variety of different ways. If a student has a need for counseling on nutrition, is there someone specifically on the counseling team, or do they need to reach out to a nutritionist, or what does that partnership or potential partnership look like?
That's a great question, and we do have some really great resources available on campus. Student Health Services has a registered dietitian on staff that's available to meet with students and can provide coaching, guidance, information, assessment, all kinds of services for them. Our University Recreation Center as well will offer services around nutrition, and also have a dietitian around, and they'll provide information about how to have healthy meals and how to find healthy food. Because sometimes when you're moving to a new place and you're on the budget of a college student, you've got to figure out how to have healthy meals on a shoestring budget, and sometimes even transportation is limited. And so our dietitians on campus are very creative in helping students learn how to build those kind of meal planning skills that they may not have ever had to think about before, especially if they're in a new place. So Student Health Services definitely, and then University Recreation also has some support.
Great, thank you. And then you also, if I'm not mistaken, you have the ability, if there are students that have health concerns related to maybe eating disorders or things along those lines, you've got resources in-house or some opportunities within counseling services, correct?
Sure. If somebody is concerned about an eating disorder and would like some support services, then we're happy to meet with them and work with them. And sometimes we'll collaborate with Student Health Services and a dietitian to make sure that students have the surround support that they need.
I've got another question that's coming in from our Facebook Live group about that they've got a student who is currently taking some medication for generalized anxiety. Is that something that they can come to the counseling center for, as far as to help manage those medications regarding refills, or if they feel like their medication is no longer working, is counseling services going to be the place that they go to on campus?
So that's a great question as well. We are co-located, when you're physically on campus, we're co-located with Student Health Services, and we work very collaboratively with them. Student Health Services has a psychiatrist, as well as a psych nurse practitioner, as well as other providers, physicians and nurse practitioners that are able to help manage medications and related to anxiety or any other mental health concern. So for the medication management, then an appointment would need to be made with Student Health Services. But we also collaborate with Student Health Services and provide care if somebody is receiving counseling as well as some medication management. We want to make sure to coordinate care if that helps a student and they're interested in that. So we often work together. We do make referrals to student health often and work well with them. And so they're here to help a student. So if you need to transfer care from a local physician to student health services, they're happy to work with that physician and transfer that care while they're on campus.
Perfect. And if you haven't, for our family members, we did a previous webinar back in June on student health services, and and all of their opportunities and available. And you can still go out and see that webinar off of the Parent Family Services website. So you can kind of merge, just kind of as Angela was saying regarding how they work together. At this point, you can merge this presentation with a little bit from the health services side of things as well. So I've got a question that's coming in about getting potentially for students being referred to counseling services. So specifically, maybe we've got some students that maybe have never reached out or utilized counseling services before, and again, being hesitant or reluctant to do so. Is there an opportunity where a friend or a family member can refer the student at all to counseling services, or is it solely on the responsibility of the student themselves to reach out?
So that's a great question. Students must schedule their own appointments. And so a parent or a friend is not able to schedule an appointment on behalf of a student. However, we frequently will have students accompany friends to counseling for the first time, people who are nervous or haven't been before. And that friend, when we're on campus, will generally wait in the waiting room while the student has that counseling appointment. We also have a lot of faculty and staff who have accompanied students over before or helped facilitate that first connection with somebody. One of the things that we have found that's helped a little bit with the reluctance, which is really interesting, is the web booking, as that students can go online and do that first appointment booking, which sometimes for some people, just scheduling the appointment is really one of the hardest things to do if they're reluctant and have never done that before. And so we found that web booking really does help with that. And then kind of the next step is a phone call for that first consultation. And at that first consultation, I think one of the things you can coach somebody about is that you're not committing to anything. It really is based on what you need and what you want. And we're there to help provide resources and services for them. And they can always choose whether or not to come back and schedule another appointment. They can do that at that time or a later time. We're always available. And so I think letting people know that if they are reluctant, this is more of a maybe information gathering appointment, that they can learn more about what to expect and how a counselor might help them out if they have something going on, and kind of coaching them through that. As far as referrals, official referrals from a provider or something like that, or somebody that wants to call our office and say, I want to refer someone there. Parents are welcome and family members are welcome to call us if you are concerned about somebody. Now, we have to follow confidentiality rules, just like physicians do, but we can receive information about a student of concern, and we can also consult with you. So we've had parents and family members call before, like, I'm worried about my student. This is what I'm seeing. This is what's going on. What should I do? And we're available to consult as well. And so if you are worried about someone and you aren't sure about what to do, don't hesitate to reach out, and one of our counselors can help coach you through that and figure out what the best solution might be. One of the exceptions that we would say that we would handle differently is if somebody has expressed some kind of suicidal intentions or ideation, and there does seem to be a threat to their life, then we may take different measures to make sure that somebody is safe. So if we have reason to believe that someone may be harmed to themselves or has harmed themselves, then obviously we're going to handle that a little bit more directly to make sure that someone is safe. So I guess, the bottom line is, when in doubt, and if you do have a specific circumstance that comes up, it's hard to answer a one-size-fits-all. Don't hesitate to reach out to our office and talk to a counselor that can provide some guidance and some coaching and some information to help make sure your student gets the help that they need. At the end of the day, I think students knowing that you care about them really is key and critical, and that they do have access to those support services is important.
Thank you. And I think that that's really critical, and kind of to say as far as reminding students again that there are supports all over the place. So, and that's the remaining questions that we've gotten in at this point. So I just want to make sure that if there's any one last statement or thing that you want to make sure our family members are hearing one last time as far as here's the thing that you want them to remember and leave today's presentation with in preparation for the start of the fall semester.
Well, I think what I want to make sure that folks hear is, one, thank you for tuning in to this topic. This already, for tuning in to this particular presentation, says that you care about your students' mental health and well-being, and that is so important in their success, and that UAB cares about their mental health and well-being as well. We want them to come on campus and be successful and have a great experience. And we know that being healthy all around, not just physical health, but mental health and well-being is also important too. And we're committed to help making sure they have access to resources that can support them.
That's great. And thank you so much for taking some time today to be able to share these opportunities and resources and services that you're able to offer to all of our UAB students, because they are so needed, and especially sometimes when it's not even when you never thought about it before, but the college is so different than the expectations and levels. So thank you for everything that you do for our students. Thank you so very much, Angela, for taking time today and sharing this information with our family members. For our family members, just so that you know, this video will stay out on our Facebook Live account. Our UAB Parent and Family Services Facebook account is going to be out there immediately. And then we will also be placing it on our Parent and Family Services website, which you can see behind me, which is uab.edu/families, so that you can, if there are additional family members that you want to share this information with, or if you want to rewatch it yourself later on, anything along those lines, it will be out there for you. It will take a little while before we get it on the website, but it will get out there within the week. So I just want to say thank you so much, Dr. Show, taking some time this afternoon. You provided was wonderful, and